All right, so about 2 weeks ago, I brought to you all my top 10 spring list that I had. And so I have another top 10 spring list that I'm going to be doing here today. It's like a top 10 spring list reloaded, whatever you want to call it. And this is just going to be 10 more fragrances that I'm going to be adding to this list. Now, several of these fragrances I actually didn't have when I was actually filming the other video. So I got a few different ones in. After that video was shot. And so I wanted to go ahead and, put together a different list. All right. So just to get the list started off, I'm going to start this one off with what I would say is more than likely going to be the cheapest fragrance on this list. So this one is going to be Mont Blanc's Individuel. So this fragrance, Mont Blanc Individuel, this is like a really like fresh, clean, like dryer sheet clean sort of scent. I would say is really the best way to kind of describe this one. Definitely it's heavy on lavender. I would say it's like the main thing that I kind of pick up on with this fragrance. And it's in that same vein as something like, Creed's original Santal. This is actually the fragrance that came out first, and then Creed kind of redid their version of it, which, that their version doesn't smell really too much different from this, other than the fact that, the quality and the blend on it is a little bit better. You don't get any sort of alcohol blast in the initial opening of the Creed. Whereas with this one, you do kind of get some alcohol blast, but overall the scents are basically the same. I definitely wouldn't recommend paying the extra money for the Creed over something like this, especially when, this 75 ml bottle you can typically get for about $15 to $20 or so. The original Santal from Creed is not like the most expensive Creed out there, but I'm pretty sure that typically goes for at least probably about $150 or so for like a full size bottle. So, at least for me, that's not really worth it. This fragrance, it does have about average performance. So, we're talking about around like that kind of 6 to 7 hour range of like total longevity. And it does project pretty good, at least for like the first hour or so. And then it definitely kind of, comes back in a lot closer after that, and is, very kind of like close-knit sort of, scent bubble type of scent after that for the most part. But this is a very kind of inoffensive, fresh, clean, in my opinion, springtime type of scent. I definitely think that spring is absolutely the best time to wear this particular fragrance. And so again, this one is going to be Mont Blanc's Individuel. All right, next one on the list. This one is Arsh Extrait from French Avenue. So this is going to be French Avenue's sort of twist on Guerlain's L'Homme Ideal Platine Privé. This is definitely not exactly the same as that fragrance. I would say if this was more in line with the Guerlain, then this wouldn't even be on the list, to be honest, because to me, the Guerlain fragrance is more sort of like a summertime style fragrance. I still think you can wear this one in the summertime, but it would definitely be a fragrance that you would want to go a little bit lighter on because of how much denser this is than the original Platine Privé. The way that the citruses come off in this, they're definitely a lot more, I would say, sweeter and kind of candied, and they have a lot more density than what the Platine Privé does. The Platine Privé is definitely like a much lighter, more kind of aromatic type of scent. Obviously, the Guerlain, it definitely is going to have a better blend to it, but I prefer the way that the Arsh Extrait smells just overall. This is very, like I said, citrusy and sweet, but at the same time, it does kind of have like this sort of fresh floral sort of feel to the fragrance as well. It kind of, in some ways, it sort of reminds me a little bit of, Louis Vuitton's Imagination. I'm not saying that this smells, I'm not saying that this is like a clone of Imagination or anything like that, or that it smells super similar to it. I'm just saying that, at least for me, I kind of pick up on like subtle nuances here and there that, you know, definitely remind me of Louis Vuitton's Imagination with this particular scent. Now, the performance on this is also going to be very good as well. This is easily going to be like a 8 to 10 hour fragrance or so longevity wise. And then for like the projection, you're going to get, I would say, above average projection for about the first like 2 hours or so, hour and a half, 2 hours. So really, really decent performance. And, you know, again, this is a very sort of citrusy, fresh, floral type of scent. I don't really pick up on too much like spiciness or anything like that. It's just a very kind of easy to wear, you know, fresh, floral, fruity type of scent, in my opinion, really citrusy. So definitely, man, I would recommend this one absolutely for the springtime. It has enough strength, you know, to kind of, you know, push out on even like kind of cooler spring days. It also, to me, is a fresher fragrance that you could wear in other seasons as well. Like definitely, I would say the fall and even like the winter in some places. And I mean, again, this is something that you can wear during the summertime as well, but I would just kind of dial back on the sprays. But at least for me, I feel like this is definitely best suited for the spring. So again, check out Arsh Extrait from French Avenue. Next one on the list is an interpretation of Tom Ford's Mandarino di Amalfi, and this is Amalfi Coast from Just Jack. And this fragrance is actually a really good interpretation of Tom Ford's Mandarino di Amalfi. It does lack some projection that the original Tom Ford has, and it does lack in the, you know, longevity. So the performance is definitely, it's not going to be as good as the Tom Ford, but in terms of just like the overall smell, I believe this was like at least like around 85 to 90% close to Mandarino di Amalfi. And I mean, this, I think if you can find it, because here and there it does kind of, you know, go in and out of stock at, you know, the different places that it's sold at. I believe I picked this bottle up from fragrancebuy.ca, and I want to say I probably paid like around $30 to $35 for it. And this is a 100 ml bottle. So I would say for that price, this is absolutely worth it. You will kind of have to reapply this fragrance every probably 4 hours or so, 3 to 4 hours. But, you know, again, for, you know, $30 fragrance that comes about 90% close or so to the Tom Ford, which is, I don't even know how much the Tom Ford costs, probably over $300. This to me is definitely worth it, man. It's a very kind of like citrusy, aquatic, slightly kind of green, you know, kind of coastal smelling type of scent, I would say. Like a really sort of, you know, Mediterranean coastal type of scent. That's the best way for me to kind of describe this. It does to me have a slight kind of like maturity and sophistication to it. So it's not going to be like a super like youthful, you know, type of fresh aquatic style, you know, type of scent. But, you know, to me, it doesn't smell like super old or mature either. All right. So again, man, definitely check out Amalfi Coast from Just Jack. So the next one on the list, this one is going to be from Armaf, and this is a part of their Club de Nuit line. And this is Armaf's Club de Nuit Sillage. So Club de Nuit Sillage, this is their take on Creed Silver Mountain Water. And, you know, for me, this definitely, it replaces Silver Mountain Water for me. You know, Silver Mountain Water, it does smell a little bit better, I would say, for sure, like in the initial opening. You know, just you obviously you get that, you know, really nice sort of Creed quality and blend quality. But I mean, once the two fragrances start to really dry down, you know, this basically, it smells the exact same as what the Silver Mountain Water does. And I mean, it definitely, it does perform a lot better than Silver Mountain Water. So, you know, you are going to get much better projection with this fragrance. For some people, maybe they'll find this one, you know, I guess that extra projection may come off as it being more screechy to them. I don't really find it to be that way, at least on my skin anyway. I do definitely welcome the extra projection with this. And then, I mean, as far as like the total longevity, you're easily looking at, over 8 to 10 hours or so. So definitely the performance on this is very, very good. As far as the price on this, I believe now you can get this one for like right around $30, like probably $25 to $30 on most websites. And this is a 105 ml bottle. So this one has kind of been out for several years now. Definitely it's kind of come down in price for sure, but the quality on this is exceptional, especially if you're looking for like a really solid Silver Mountain water interpretation. At least from what I've smelled so far, this has definitely been the best one. I've smelled Alexandria's version, and Alexandria's version didn't really perform at all on me. And it also, to me, didn't smell as close to the original as what this does. So it's really amazing that they're able to, get the level of quality that they got into this bottle, and, for the price that they're charging for it, honestly. So again, if you're looking for a really, really good Silver Mountain water clone or, interpretation, so, that green tea, citruses, white florals, a little bit of woodiness in the background as well. Really, really unisex. Some could say a little bit kind of feminine leaning, comes off a little bit powdery at times, but, at least for me, man, I really, really enjoy that, mixture of the green tea, the citruses, and the florals. If you're looking for something, that has that type of vibe, then absolutely check out Armav's Club de Nuit Sillage. All right, so the next one on the list, this one is from the house of Initio, and this is Initio's Musk Therapy. So Musk Therapy, this is another one of those like, kind of citrusy, like drier sheet, fresh type of scents. So it starts off with like a really nice, juicy mandarin orange note. I believe it's like mandarin orange and bergamot. But mainly the mandarin is, the main thing that you're going to get with this. You start off with that really nice kind of juicy and tart black currant. And then you start to get more into kind of like white florals as it starts to transition. White florals, musk, really a heavy dose of musk, you could say. And it overall just comes off as like a very kind of, not like overly fruity or overly sweet, but, kind of like this citrusy, fruity, fresh floral type of drier sheet type of scent. Now it does have like a really nice kind of creamy sandalwood in the fragrance as well. That doesn't make the fragrance too warm in my opinion. The way that it's done in this is it's done, just right in my opinion. But honestly, this is a very, very nice scent. The ingredients used in this are definitely pretty high quality. You can definitely find some, really close interpretations out there of this scent, but I feel like the original is definitely the best, that you can smell when it comes to this scent profile. So in terms of the performance on this fragrance, with Musk Therapy, overall longevity, at least on me anyway, I easily get, over 8 hours with this fragrance. Now the projection for probably like the first hour and a half, 2 hours is actually really, really good. Like it's actually beast mode, especially when I wear it during like this time of the year, like the springtime. That's when it really, really performs the best, I would say, for like that first hour and a half, 2 hours. And then it definitely does kind of dial back a little bit, but like I said, this is definitely a scent that absolutely does linger on my skin. So this one was definitely worth it for me. Now, I didn't pay full retail for this one. I believe I bought this one as a tester for like around $180-ish, I think, which to me was worth it. Now, obviously, if you kind of, Google this fragrance, you'll probably see like Neiman Marcus or something like that selling this one for like $400. This, I would say, is absolutely not worth that type of price. But I think if you can find this for anywhere between like 170 to about 220 max, then I think, you know, this is definitely worth it. Absolutely. So definitely, man, check out Initio's Musk Therapy. All right, so the next one on the list, this one is from Joe Milano, and this is Joe Milano's Game of Spades Opal, or Opal. I don't know exactly how you pronounce this one, but this one is going to be Joe Milano's take on Louis Vuitton's Lovers. And this, while I can say is a solid interpretation of Lovers, I will say that Lovers to me overall is definitely the better scent. Now, this is going to be for someone who cannot fathom themselves, you know, purchasing a Louis Vuitton fragrance for $330 or $400+ for like the 200 ml. This is going to be for you. Now, if you don't mind, you know, paying a little bit more for that, you know, extra quality, you know, that, you know, extra amount of love when it comes to how the fragrance is blended and, you know, the more natural ingredients, then I would say that if, you know, this particular scent profile is one that you like, you definitely will want to go with the original fragrance. So this basically, it comes across as like a fresher, citrusier version, and I would say a more approachable version of, you know, that kind of Santal 33 scent profile. Now, neither this or Lovers smells exactly the same as Santal 33, but I feel like the way that the sandalwood is done in, you know, both of these fragrances, it definitely is kind of like within the same family of fragrances as Santal 33. The Game of Spades Opal, this one, the way that this comes off is definitely, it's sweeter than the Louis Vuitton. And in my opinion, the green notes as well as the spicy notes, they're not really as prominent in the Game of Spades Opal as what they are in the Louis Vuitton. Also, the Louis Vuitton definitely comes off as more watery. So it has that same kind of signature watery feel that you get from basically every other like Louis Vuitton fresh fragrance. The Lovers definitely also has that particular feel to it as well. Whereas this one, Game of Spades Opal, the wateriness is not exactly, it's not there, you know, the way it is in Lovers. Now, which one again do I prefer? I prefer the Louis Vuitton for sure. The way that the wateriness is there in the Louis Vuitton, and also the green and spicy notes, you know, how much more prominent they are in that fragrance. It smells like the much, you know, better smelling fragrance. But I think if you want to get to about maybe 80%, you know, you're 80% there to like Louis Vuitton's Lovers, then I would say Game of Spades Opal is still going to be like a solid choice for you. You know, it does give you decent performance for sure. So at least about 7 to 8 hours or so. But the Louis Vuitton, at least on me, was well over 10 to 11 hours. So that one definitely did, you know, last longer on my skin. And it did project a little bit better than Opal did as well. It was just a lot more kind of diffusive. Whereas the Opal, I think because this one is a little bit more kind of sweeter, and the green and spicier notes are like more toned down in this fragrance. I think that's why this fragrance does not project as much as what, you know, Louis Vuitton's Lovers does. But again, this to me still is like a very nice fall, or not fall, but springtime fragrance. You know, it does have like a really nice citrusy fresh element to it. It has, you know, kind of a slight floral element to it as well. And then obviously the backbone of this fragrance is the sandalwood. But, you know, again, I do think that, you know, if you're looking for the best version of this scent, then definitely Lovers is going to be the one that you'll want to go for. So again, man, definitely check out Game of Spades Opal if you're looking for Lovers, but just on a much lower budget. All right. So the next one on the list, this one is from Cerati, and this is Cerati's Atlantis. So Atlantis, from what I can tell, based on what I'm smelling from this, and also just kind of, comparing it with the notes of another fragrance from Gissa, from what I can tell, this seems to be like an interpretation of Gissa's Horizon, I believe it is. It's one of their fragrances that also comes in a blue bottle just like this. And I mean, basically what I get from this is it starts off with like a really kind of like tart, but really bright, sort of like yuzu or lemon note. You get a very prominent violet note with this as well. So it does come off as like, citrusy and floral. Now, someone did mention in the video that I actually did on just this fragrance that, for them, they were getting like this like incense water type of feel from this fragrance. And I do, now that they, said that, and I kind of went back and smelled this fragrance a few times after that, I do absolutely pick up on that. So it does it adds a little bit of like darkness to this fragrance. So, I mean, it overall is a very bright, uplifting, citrusy, floral, fresh type of scent for sure. It's also very kind of watery and musky, but it does have a slight kind of darkness from like, again, what smells like you could say this smells like a very kind of watery, citrusy, floral scent, but the water that's being used is kind of like, incense water or something like that, kind of has like a slightly dark, smoky element to it. So that adds a lot of character to this fragrance for sure, man. Now, as far as like how this compares to the Gissa, I have no idea. I haven't really been able to find any sort of reliable place where I can find like Gissa samples. So, that's why I've never really been able to compare any Gissa, interpretation to the original Gissa fragrance. But, I would say if the Gissa smells, either just like this or even better, then I would say this is a really, really amazing scent profile for sure. The performance on this is also pretty decent. So you're looking at like easily around 7+ hours of total longevity. And then I would say for about the first hour and a half to 2 hours or so, this does actually project and push out pretty strongly. All right. So if you're looking again for a very kind of bright, citrusy, floral, watery, musky, slightly kind of smoky scent, to wear for the springtime, very uplifting, but has a slight dark edge to it, then absolutely I would recommend Cerati's Atlantis. All right, so the next one on the list, this one is from French Avenue, and this is their take on Kayali's Yum Pistachio Gelato, I believe it's called. And this one is Luscious from French Avenue. So with this fragrance, I'll say as long as this fragrance is produced, I mean, at least in my opinion anyway, I don't think it really makes sense to buy the original from Kayali. And I say that because the way that this fragrance comes across to me, it smells higher quality. The pistachio in this is definitely more prominent. And it's also more like realistic smelling. That's definitely one thing that I picked up on, or the first thing that I picked up on. Also, it's overall, the scent is just a stronger scent than what the Kayali is. And because of the, the extra strength that you get with this comes off as having a lot better performance. So it projects better than what the Yum Pistachio Gelato does. And it lasts longer than the Yum Pistachio Gelato. So I easily get like 7+ hours with this one, whereas the Yum Pistachio Gelato, at most, I was getting like around 4.5, maybe 5 hours or so with that fragrance. And again, the projection on this was definitely a lot better than what it was with the Kayali. Now, the Kayali fragrance for 100 ml, that's going to run you about $130. Whereas with this Luscious, I've typically seen this one for like around $46 to $50 for 100 ml. So this is definitely going to be the better buy in my opinion. And also too, I would say this fragrance is, because it's not exactly the same as the Kayali, this fragrance comes off as a lot more unisex smelling and not as feminine as what the Kayali does. So, I would say if you're a guy that's looking for, this type of scent profile, this would be the one that I would recommend that you get, because again, this does have a more unisex, more nuttier sort of smell to it. And again, the way that the pistachio comes off in this, it's definitely higher quality, more complex, has more depth to it. And obviously, like I said, it does project a lot better. All right. So again, man, check out French Avenue's Luscious. All right. So the next one on the list, this is a discontinued fragrance from Creed. And this is Creed's Asian Green Tea. So Asian Green Tea, this fragrance, this was a fragrance that I had been wanting to get my hands on, like a full bottle of it for a while. And I mean, years ago, I saw that this fragrance was going for like, I don't know, like around $80 to $90 on a lot of different discounter websites. And I just never pulled the trigger on it. I think, around those times, I probably bought something else. And I think the main reason was because this is not the most, or this isn't the best performing fragrance, in terms of like projection or longevity, but just in terms of smell, this is a really amazing smelling scent in my opinion. So it's heavy on citrus when you first spray it on. I believe it's got like mandarin orange, lemon, bergamot. It may be some black currant in this. I don't remember the exact note breakdown, but it's very kind of citrusy up top. And then basically after, the citruses start to wear off, then you get like a lot of like floral notes in this fragrance as well. Mainly, I think like white florals and maybe like a rose note. But the best part, in my opinion, of this fragrance is the green tea. So I really, really love tea fragrances, and this is one of my favorite, sort of tea fragrances. Now, this particular fragrance, it does come off as a little powdery, you could say. So for some people may find this one to be a little bit more kind of feminine leaning. At least for me anyway, I don't have any issue wearing this particular fragrance. I love the way that this smells. But just, I guess, beware, this is not going to be the most sort of masculine smelling scent that you can wear. But it's a very just kind of like fresh, clean, citrusy, really kind of, uplifting, bright and uplifting type of scent in my opinion. Again, the performance on it is not that good. You're really only going to get probably about 3 to 4 hours maximum with this fragrance. And then in terms of like the projection is definitely very, very kind of close to your skin on this one. So you're looking at maybe about a half an arm's length or so of projection. This is definitely more of kind of like a scent bubble scent more than anything. But yeah, man, I really, really enjoy this fragrance. Definitely glad to have this one in my collection. If you can find this one for a reasonable price, so I'm talking anywhere from probably about $80 to $130 max, then I would say pull the trigger on it. If you're looking at prices like what I've seen on eBay for this, I think the most that I've seen this one go for was like $699 or something. This fragrance is absolutely not worth that much money, man. So again, definitely check out Asian Green Tea from Creed. All right, so the last fragrance on this top 10 spring list, Reloaded, is going to be Gucci Pour Homme II. All right, so this is another sort of discontinued fragrance. And this fragrance, man, I would say for most people, especially if you don't already have this fragrance, this is not going to be attainable. So what I would also kind of recommend maybe in place of this, if you're not willing to spend the ridiculous, inflated prices that this goes for, I would recommend in place of this something like Alexandria's the Pour Homme II. But this fragrance overall, man, this is definitely a springtime scent in my opinion. I think this is definitely the best time for a fragrance like this. This is, it basically, it's like, it starts off, I believe, with like bergamot. You get some violet in the opening as well with this, which violet is definitely one of the more kind of prominent notes that you get in this fragrance for sure. Obviously, you do also get like some black tea with this fragrance. And that's, you know, I would say really the best part of this fragrance is the black tea that you get. But again, man, the violet, the bergamot kind of freshness that you get from this. And then also this does have like some spicy elements to it as well. So it has some cinnamon in it, some pimento pepper. You know, it's just a really overall, it's one of the best, you know, kind of tea fragrances that I've ever smelled. And I would say overall, this is going to be, in my opinion, one of the best designer scents really that's ever been made for sure. So like I said, man, if you're looking for the scent profile, I would just go for, you know, Alexandria's the Pour Homme II. Unless you can find someone who's willing to sell this fragrance for a reasonable price, you know, which is the only reason why I have this fragrance as well as, you know, the Asian green tea. Otherwise, I wouldn't have either one of these fragrances. This one, I think I've seen go for like around $600 on eBay, like $500 to $600 or so. So again, not worth that much money. Absolutely not. The performance on this is about average, I would say. So, I mean, you're going to get about like 7 plus hours or so of total longevity out of this one. And in terms of the projection, it is actually pretty good for like the first hour and a half. So you're going to get over an arm's length or so of projection for the first hour and a half. And like I said, man, it's just a very kind of calming, kind of, you know, really smooth, you know, type of tea scent, man. That's really the best way for me to kind of describe it. I think that it does definitely, it is best for the springtime. I would say this would be a scent that, for me, I would love to wear this one on kind of like an overcast day. Maybe it's a chance of rain. Maybe it's already rained. This would be the scent that I would want to wear, whether I'm going outside or even if I'm inside. Because I also think that this is a very kind of just like easygoing, casual type of scent. So this is definitely the type of scent that you could wear just kind of chilling around the house. It definitely has a freshness to it. It has a calmness to it, but it kind of has like a slight warmth to it as well. So again, man, definitely check out Gucci Pour Homme II if you can find this for a reasonable price. And again, if you can't, absolutely check out Alexandria's version of Pour Homme. It's basically identical to this. You know, I really didn't notice any real differences at all from, you know, the Alexandria version and this. But obviously, you know, I did go ahead and actually pick up a full bottle of the original. All right. So again, man, check out Gucci Pour Homme II. All right, man, that is the list. That is my top 10 spring list reloaded. Definitely, man, let me know what you all thought about this list. Let me know if you all have any or all of these fragrances on the list. And if so, what do you all think about these fragrances? Also, I have links in the description to where you can purchase any of the fragrances that are still for sale. And again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you all in the next video.